Our panel of break-fix petrolheads are back for another rousing what should I buy debate. Using unique shopping criteria, they are challenged to find our first-time collector the best vehicle that will make their friends go, "Where do you get that?" or "What the hell is wrong with you?" at the next Cars and Coffee.
So as you guys heard, we did a Ugliest Cars episode.
So yeah, there were some cars that were too ugly even for their mama to love, and they got left out on the cutting room floor, unfortunately.
But we also put together a B-sides. So this is really a sidebar conversation as we're sitting around drinking and getting prepared for the real episode. A whole bunch of other cars fell out on the floor.
And as always, I'm your host, Brad.
And I'm Eric.
So let's roll.
We're going to talk about some ugly cars.
Ugly cars, ugly, fugly, oogly. Let's get it going. Who's got some oogly ass cars that they want to talk about? Other than the obvious choices. I mean, we've got the HHR, the PT Cruiser, square body Chevys. Here, I'll kick us off by rolling, let's see, what I think is an ugly car, especially when it first came out. I think the Mark V Jetta specifically, but the Mark V Golfs and GTIs and stuff too, they were terrible. They were ugly, ugly, ugly cars. When it first came out, I thought I was looking at the new Corolla. That's how terrible I thought it was. I thought someone took a Mark IV, they put like an air pipe onto it and just blew a bunch of air into it and expanded it. I think they're hideous.
I will give you the taillights look like a Corolla.
I mean, it's the David Hasselhoff drunk on the floor of the Burger King trying to eat a cheeseburger. That's the Mark V to me.
The non-GLI, there was way too much chrome on the front of that car.
Yeah.
That entire front grille was chrome, unless it was a GLI.
Volkswagen spent too much time watching Paul Wall videos. They had to get that chrome grille.
Dude, the R32 might as well be Lil Wayne. It's like all chrome up front. I mean, it is bad.
Yet their commercials were unpimp Z Auto.
What other ugly oddities do we want to talk about before Eric pulls up his PowerPoint?
As a, typical dweeb.
The Aston Martin Lagonda.
Oh, come on. I like that car.
Okay. That's one opinion.
Yes.
Oh, that looks like it was stepped on.
That is a horrible car. I mean, they went to Track Auto and bought all of the Wagner square headlights they could find and just bolted them onto the front of that thing.
The best part of that car was big dollars.
The front end of that reminds me of a dustbuster.
Wait, does it have massive flip-up headlights as well, in addition to all those lights in the front grille?
Just in case you couldn't see. But
because there's like two big trap drawers in the front of the hood.
You know what other vehicles got something like that? The Jeep Cherokee. It's got the little eye slit lights that aren't actually headlights, and then it's got headlights on top of that.
So a related one to that was on my list, which is the first gen Nissan Juke. Like it had these little like weird slanted things that were the headlights, and then below that were fog lights that looks like they should be the headlights.
Yeah, that was the one.
Mike, it does have pop-up lights. So when it pop up, there's an additional total of 4 extra square lights. There's 2 on each side. Just put in Lagonda headlight.
It's the family truckster.
But you know what's funny, Mike? With the headlights up, tell me it doesn't look like a BMW 850.
I see the family truckster with all those headlights.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily anything good.
That thing.
Oh, what is that?
That looks like a hearse version of that car.
Volvo and a Lagonda had a baby. Like, that is horrendous.
Is that actually
It's the Lagonda V70.
It's the Lagonda shooting brake. There is not enough tannerite in the world to take care of that.
That car is probably 35 feet long.
God. That's the Inspector Gadget car, right?
It does look like that.
No, what did he drive? He drove the
It was a Nissan, right? It was that weird Nissan that they made in the 90s, I thought, or the late 80s, I thought.
I think this is Mike's next wagon.
Oh my God, that is brutal.
It does remind me of the Inspector Gadget car.
That reminds me of an El Camino with a cap.
That's awesome.
You're going to love this one. You all are going to love this picture, I swear. Hopefully it shows up.
Oh!
Oh, Hollow Notes.
Poor man Ferrari.
You got to describe it for our listeners there, Brad. What do we got here?
We've got the Pontiac Fiero Hall & Oates edition.
That's
She's a rich girl. Hall & Oates aren't rich girls, apparently, because they're driving Pontiac Fiero.
And let's not forget, tested as one of 1984's best handling American cars.
Well,
That is not saying much.
you know, compared to what else was for sale in 1984 from America, it is. And you know, the real shame of it is, because I read an article about those stupid things. When did they discontinue it? 1987 or 88, I think.
Not soon enough. I think actually the best handling American car in '84 was probably a square body Chevy.
You just made Dan the happiest person in the
I know. I was looking to get a smile out of him.
Here's the thing about the Fiero. I actually like them.
I do too. And they can be modified to look really good.
The body kits on them make them phenomenal. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not
the ones that make them look like another car. Yeah, they're great.
talking about the Ferrari kits that you can get for them. I'm talking the actual. They had some ground effects kits.
Yeah, they
for
did.
them that looked phenomenal.
And the 2M6, the last ones,
Yeah.
the last year, the 88s,
Yeah.
I think they were.
They finally fixed all the problems that they had with them, and the last year was a phenomenal.
They
car.
also had those gold BBS basket weave wheels. I mean, they weren't bad looking in the last year. They put the spoiler on them, the body kit from the factory. It was like raw.
The real reason, well, there's two reasons why I added the Fiero. One, because I don't fit in them. So that it kind of makes me a little jealous. And two, I just wanted to share this picture.
Classic Hall & Oates right there. That's pretty awesome.
Well, the last year of Fiero is when they finally got rid of the Chevette gearing.
Yes.
When it was introduced too early, and it was basically a Chevy Chevette, a mid-engine Chevy Chevette.
Hey! Don't get messing with the X19.
Yeah, you want to talk about fucking worthless.
There's the Italian Fiero.
It's not that it's ugly; it's that it was just a fucking dog. The only good thing about an X19 is you could be seen in it for a long time.
I mean, that is the downside of the X19. Honestly, it's a good looking car, but it is slow as dirt.
I mean, you could floor it to pull away from the stoplight, and they'd still see you for 20 minutes.
If you handed me an X19, I'd be all over it. I'm okay with that.
Now I will say, whatever ugly car you're talking about, if you want to make it uglier, throw some '90s Pontiac rims on it.
Look at any of those 80s, 90s cars today, and you can't believe that people bought them. But that was what they had available.
And you know what, Brad? I don't like yellow cars, but the X19 looks good in yellow.
I like this one.
If it has to be a cartoonist rendering of a vehicle, you know it's ugly.
What's wrong with the X19?
It looks like a Fiero.
God.
But not near as cool.
I mean, so does the 914. 914's an ugly duckling, too.
That right there is what's wrong with the X19. That picture alone.
What, the pop-up headlights?
The way those pop-up
really
headlights
shitty
look
pop-up.
on the front of the car.
Yeah.
914 looks identical. If you pull up a picture of 914 with the headlights up, they're the same.
No, it has a bumper. It doesn't end. It doesn't terminate immediately.
Well, there you go. You have a piece of crap in your garage then, because that looks like garbage.
I don't like the 914 with the headlights up. That's the only angle I don't like. I like the 914 a lot.
Actually, I like the 914 more than the X19.
But those headlights have to be welded shut at this point. Just weld them shut.
And Brad, to the Fiero argument about being ugly, like I can appreciate it because it's mid-engine and then everything else. But when you take that design and you kind of stretch it out and add these like big prison doors on it and call it a Beretta, then we have a problem.
You also got to give it that really powerful.
Different looking.
You got to give it that really powerful 3.4 liter V6 too.
So I'll tell you this: Jess owned a Beretta in white with a bird.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With the 3.4 liter, right? I drove it. Doors must have been built out of lead and filled with cement because they were like bank vault doors. And so Jess used to always say that was like the ultimate like rapist car because when you got in it, it was very difficult to get out. You were like trapped into Beretta. His doors were like so heavy.
You park nosed uphill and they can't get the door.
Pretty much, yeah. You were done.
I'm drawing a complete blank. What is that? A Pontiac car that?
Aztec.
No, that's a troll piece of crap as well. But no, I think it was a Pontiac. It was like
Sunfire.
Yes.
The Cavalier's Pontiac cousin.
I broke one of those on a business trip.
Yes, that thing. Thank you. Drawing a blank.
Well,
The purpose of the Sunfire was to get women's attention. They came in these weird pinks and shit like that. That it was for the purpose of getting women interested in them cars.
But the problem was they took the Camaro and they tried to shrink it because it had the same funky rear end and those wide hips, and it just didn't look right.
I think all Pontiac Sunfires were owned by strippers, and they all smelled. Every single one came from the factory smelling like cigarette smoke.
And strawberry body gel.
Yes.
Here's a big problem with any of the cars in the U.S. because all of the bigwigs in control of design stuff, when there's a good idea, they shoot it down every time. And the Fiero is a huge example of that because that car originally designed was supposed to be way better, and the bigwigs were like, no, we don't want to dump the money into that. So we're going to.
Then how did the Aztec make it into production?
The same reason the Ford LTD made it into production.
No, the Ford LTD. Say what you will about the Ford LTD, but it was just another big American car. The Aztec looks like it got beat by the ugly stick, and then someone broke it over his head.
They went to all the focus groups and picked one thing out of each focus group that they said they wanted.
Did they?
And
were they
threw
all
everything
on
else
crack?
out?
There was some redneck in the background go, I like them nostrils on the Firebird. I need that on my SUV.
For the Aztec, I think the writers and directors from Breaking Bad, long before the story was written, went to General Motors and said, "We've got a story we want to write and broadcast. We need a vehicle that says I'm a midlife crisis loser with no life, no soul. I'm going to die, and that is paradise to me. I need a car for that."
They already made that. It's called the Geo Metro.
Yeah.
No, you know who bought the Aztec? Because if you look at the package,
nobody bought the Aztec.
Well,
I've seen exactly 0 on the road.
Well, General Motors, you can lease a General Motors product if you work for General Motors for practically nothing. And this is when I was working in Detroit. Apparently, quite a few of those middle managers had Aztecs because there was nothing else on the roster. In other words, you want to lease a Pontiac 6000 STE, you have to have an Aztec. You want to get a Firebird, you have to have an Aztec. You want a Cadillac, you have to have an Aztec because they couldn't sell them.
Yeah.
It was the same reason why Ford corporate guys were driving two-door Explorer Sports forever. Couldn't sell them.
I just want to know what the Aztec is built on, because if it was built on a GM 360 chassis like the Trailblazer and the Equinox and all those, it'd be one thing. But it's kind of like, what the hell is it built on? It's a piece of crap.
I'm going to speak in its defense for a minute, because the Aztec did have some cool options, like the camping aspect where they had the tent that came out the back.
Yeah.
Did you just use cool and Aztec in the same sentence?
Sadly, yes. It was.
Well,
did it have to be shaped like a juice box?
Well, if you don't look at it, it was wonderful, but so's the Porsche 928.
Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of cool options, but it was not functional. I mean, if you want to go camping, where are you going with an Aztec? You're going to the mall parking lot. You can't go off road with it. It didn't have road clearance. It didn't have traction. So,
you're going the same place most Jeep owners go, the mall parking lot.
True.
Yeah.
So.
When we get to the next car, bring up the link I sent in chat. It's a comparison of the new Mitsubishi Eclipse SUV and a Pontiac Aztek. Brother from another mother.
We talk about this in the drive-thru, and we ask the hard-hitting questions. Why the F does Mitsubishi still make cars? This is a prime example of that question. Why the F do they still make cars?
Well, that's the thing. In the U.S. market, they don't make any cars anymore. They only make crossovers and SUVs.
This is a car. This is what I mean by cars. I don't mean
specifically a car. I believe in the Japanese market, they still make small cars because they sell.
They're one of
Over here, they don't sell.
Manufacturers, one of the largest industrial enterprises in the world.
You can buy your Mitsubishi TV and haul it home with your Mitsubishi Eclipse SUV.
That's right.
Along with your Mitsubishi air conditioner.
Right. Well, that's Mitsubishi.
That's great if they sell cars in Japan, but they should not sell They should not sell vehicles with 4 wheels that provide forward motion in the United States market.
They barely do anymore. It's like a Zuzu before a Zuzu died.
See, I'm cool with the Aztec like that as an off-roader. I think
if that's how they would have built it originally,
I would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, but
I think it's 2-wheel drive.
But it's funny you say that because remember the Suzuki Samurai was a joke.
There you go,
then-
right there.
and
Fire
then-
Chicken Aztec.
And then all the 4-wheel guys bought them because they were awesome off road.
Hey, and they were great because if they rolled over, they were the same height and width and
Well, yeah.
and length, so you could roll them over easier.
Here's the Pontiac Aztek Tribal Tattoo Edition.
Well, scroll
That
back.
screams 90s and early 2000s.
Oh yeah. And whoever drove
What the hell is that? Official taste? What?
body spray.
Come on.
Axe body sprays reserved for HHRs.
No, trust me, that tribal Aztec had plenty. But
Oh man, that is,
These are the people that buy the Pontiac Aztek.
look at that one with the
Well-
gray one with the wheels. Man, you keep skipping the good ones.
that one,
Hang on. That I don't think
Here's
like,
the best one.
God,
I've had a good bit of scotch, but no amount of scotch prepared me for that taxi Aztec picture. Let me tell you.
I'm okay with
yeah,
that.
I like
Actually,
that.
that looks pretty good.
Scroll back up, Brad, because on the top left pictures there was keep
All these cars with double layered headlights and double layered grills just look ridiculous. They look stupid. And maybe it's an artifact that most cars aren't that way. And we're very
top left.
trained in thinking of a car has a set of lights and one grill, not, oh, let me decide to double stack front ends.
So along those lines, and that brings up a good point. The Tesla Model 3 and the front end of the Tesla Model 3 annoys me due to the lack of grill.
Yes, I also dislike that. I also dislike no grill, and that also is probably an artifact of just being so trained visually to have a grill on the front of the car.
Nauseated?
But yeah, the Aztec has like nostrils and a mouth. It just looks weird.
Well, the first ones were even worse when they had that cladding on them. Like the ones that had the cladding were really hideous. The ones that were at least monocolor were monocolor. Quite as bad.
So that the cladding, the only reason the cladding was removed was because of the economic crisis. GM wanted to save money, so they made the cladding an option on not just the Aztec, it was also on the Avalanche.
Wait, you made a shitty decision based on economics? No, that would never happen.
No, actually, by your definition, they made a smart decision by removing
No.
the cladding for
Well,
economics.
yes.
So you mentioned the Avalanche, Mike, and I agree. When they did the plastic molding for the back section, I get what they were trying to do with going back like a throwback to the 70s and 80s where they'd have like the roll bar or something in the back. But when they did it out of plastic, everything faded so badly, it just made them look hideous.
Well, so they left that part on. They took off the body cladding on the bottom side of the door,
Yeah.
which I actually preferred how the Aztec looked with the cladding because it provided the contrast. Without the contrast, it looked weird.
Yeah.
The
So, see,
top,
I feel the other way around. They're ugly either way, but
All right, what else we got on the list?
But you want to talk about bad General Morons products? Cadillac Cimarron.
Oh, dude, that. I mean, my daughter would design the look of that car. It's like what a kid would draw in terms of.
Well, how do you take the shittiest, cheapest car GM makes and then make it worse? Let's add leather and wood.
but they didn't learn because they made the Catera, which was literally a Chevy Malibu with a different
it wa-
badge.
No, actually, it was an Opel. And in Europe, it was an awesome car. But we're Americans and we want big, soft, cushy automatic transmission cars.
I'm not gonna
The-
lie,
the-
I
the
wanted a
Catera,
Was
the
that the
Catera was a Malibu, was an Oldsmobile Cutlass, was the what was the Buick version? I don't remember. But yeah,
Skylark.
but like the Catera of those years was literally the same exact body. They only changed the front grille between the Cadillac and the Chevy, and the Oldsmobile.
I thought it was based on like the Opel Omega or the Vectra.
Yeah, no, it was an Opel. It wasn't GM parts bin, at least not US parts bin. But then the GTO is parts bin GM, but not US parts bin either.
Yeah, that's Holden.
This was British GM parts bin, if I recall. Yeah.
Right.
It's the Opel Omega B, but they sold it in the U.S. as all of those.
Right.
They sold it literally. They just changed the grille for the Oldsmobile and the Chevy when they changed from the Alero to the Cutlass.
You
The
know,
Alero had different body style.
the Alero was weird, but it wasn't ugly. Like I could tolerate that car.
Christy had one. It was actually a fun little car. And what's really funny is in Germany they sold it as a Chevrolet.
Really? You guys are way too young for this, but you don't remember this beautiful car from my childhood, the Chevy Citation X11.
Citation?
Citation? Oh, yes.
The Chevy Citation, the first front-wheel drive. The X11 was a V6 performance car.
The Citation. I love that.
Look it up.
Yeah.
It's the shitation.
Yes.
So that
There's
reminds
a
me.
reason why.
So
And there was a kid I went to high school with who had one who thought he was hot shit for years.
All right. So who's got another one for us
Like,
to
well, I want to go back to the Citation.
Yeah.
The citation.
The Citation.
Yeah.
Because if you, in that time period, if your choice was the Citation, let's go with the X11. Because
Yes.
would you still choose the Citation or would you choose the K car, the Plymouth Aries?
I'm an Iacocca man. I'm taking the Aries.
Well, it's considering.
Talk about the most boring, mundane office car. I hate my job. Kind of car. There you go.
I was
Well,
thinking about the Dodge Intrepid.
The LeBaron.
Well, come on. The best K car ever made was a Chrysler Imperial. What's wrong with you people?
Oh my God. There's so many K-based cars. It's not even funny.
We had a Chrysler New Yorker when I was growing up that had the air leveling suspension in the back.
Oh,
Which the only reason I could think that existed was so the mobsters could put bodies in the back and it wouldn't sag.
And you say that like it's a bad thing.
Didn't someone once compare the Intrepid to a suppository?
It's the insipid.
You guys again are way too young for this. Ford had an advertisement for the Grenada, and it was
Who would name a car a grenade?
that it rode so well that the guy was going to cut a diamond in it because the ride was so smooth. And of course,
He cut his balls off.
well, it gets better because Saturday Night Live did a parody on it with doing a maul in the back seat of a Granada as it's been driven. And the rabbi, you hear, "Wah! It's a boy."
I mean, if we're going to talk about ugly Fords,
that's a huge list. But the Ford Granada, my uncle had one.
2 or 4-door.
He had the 2-door.
Okay, so it wasn't quite as bad.
It was the inline 6.
Oh,
The hood was like probably 8 foot long.
yep.
shorter than a Viper.
So, and that car was ugly as hell. And for the smooth ride, it's because you seriously felt like you were going up and down constantly on a waterbed because there was no stiffness to the suspension. You were just like floating around.
Water-filled shocks.
That's a road hugging weight that the Fords have.
And I will give it credit though, because the one my uncle had lasted to the point where the frame was about to fall in half. He had it, and he finally, actually, it was probably about 12 years ago, finally junked it.
Wow.
He drove it. It was so bad, like in its brand new condition, it was hideous. But it was even worse because as the rust spots on it got bad, he would sand them down and he'd primer so there'd be squares of different colored primer in different spots.
You're supposed to leave that patina.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a resto mod now.
A patinaed Granada.
So if we're going to
Yes.
go straight to the jugular of the Ford catalog, I only have to say one word. And
Thunderbird?
you're going to tell us we're too young to know this, but all I have to say is Edsel.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't really a Ford. That was stupidity incarnate.
And it is a heinous looking car.
It looks like someone wanted to have something to screw in their garage at night.
That grill, man. That grill. Woo!
All right, so I'm gonna step out of the box a little bit from cars and go to trucks.
Oh, God.
Having to
Ford F-150.
Here did Mike have? Because that was an ugly F-150.
That was an ugly F-150.
That was the Taurus F-150.
Oh, my God.
So having to drive one on a daily basis while I was stationed over in England, the DAF box truck was a hideous, worthless vehicle. It had a 4-cylinder diesel, 5-speed, and I think the top speed I was ever able to get up to was like 38 mile an hour.
It's basically
Look for the 90s DAF van.
DAF, yeah. But it's so Peugeot made a van that looks the same. Iveco, which is owned by
Oh yeah,
Fiat.
Mm-hmm.
They all look the same, basically. They're kind of like the Sprinter of the 1980s. I mean, if you think about it, they're really nothing fancy.
Speaking of Ivecos, they're actual box, like the flat nose box trucks. I had to run one of them when the place I worked at. when I was
Oh, the one where you're like
stuff.
sitting on top of the
Oh, yeah,
wheels.
and
Oh, they're
catwalk.
terrible.
And that I hated that truck. And
I've ridden in one of those. I will never do it again. It is
so
scary.
I used to have to make runs from Frederick to Hagerstown hauling auto body supplies and heading up South Mountain.
That actually doesn't look that bad to me. If it was lifted with some knobby tires, it actually looked like it'd be pretty good.
Not a daft
No,
fan if you
no.
did it right.
They were too top heavy because you wind up going turtle, and turtle's not good.
So you want to talk some ugly trucks? How about the LM002?
Dude, that thing is pretty gross. And then there was the Cheetah, I think was the other version. It is not cool, but on the same token, it is cool because it's ugly, right?
It's kind of like, honestly, I see that and it makes me think of a Hummer. The
Well, that's where the Hummer got its inspiration from.
A Hummer's
But
not
I-
a good vehicle. Why? The only reason it
Now,
was famous is because of Arnold.
Well, no, not only that. Well, the Hummer or this?
Yeah, the Hummer.
Well, this is famous because it's a Lamborghini and it has a V12.
Not just that it has a V12, it has the Countach V12 with a 5-speed,
Yes.
and it'll do 120 miles an hour. The Hummer is lucky if it'll move.
And
Hey, now my old Nissan pickup truck did 112.
this was known as the Rambo Lambo, right? I mean, dude, this thing, I think it might be ugly, but on the same token, the more you look at it, the cooler it is.
Well, it's like the M Coupe. It's ugly. You don't like it? Want to see the taillights?
Yeah,
Well,
right.
Well, I think off-roaders are supposed to be ugly. Like I don't think off-roaders are supposed to look pretty. They're not designed to be art.
I'll put it this way. It's not any more attractive than any of the old Land Rovers, I mean, for that matter.
Yeah.
And that's not the point. What I'm getting at,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to throw this question out to the field. The LM222 or the Urus, which would you take?
You don't remember what the Urus looks like.
You pull it up, Brad. It's the new Lamborghini SUV.
To tap into my Colombian cocaine drug lord roots, I want the LM002.
I'm with you on that. I bet that comes with bulletproof glass.
There's the
Oh.
ugly in the conventional sense, which I think the LM002 is ugly in the conventional sense. Yes, us car guys are going to probably appreciate it more than Joe Schmo off the street.
Right.
And then there's the just stop, which is the Urus. Just stop.
I kind of like the Urus actually. I think it's cool looking.
I don't even look at these two and put them in the same category for comparison.
I'm with you on that, Tanya.
I mean,
Well, I mean, the Urus,
your car potentially after a bodily part or function.
Now the Urus convertible, that brings me to another classic.
Cross Cabrio.
Oh man, this turn.
is that the Murano convertible?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I passed two in a single day once in Maryland.
It was the same one.
They were
You
No,
just
they were
saw it
different
twice.
colors. It was white and
Yeah,
black.
it's still the same one. You just saw it twice.
I remember when the Murano first came out, it was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen. And
It
then they made
still
it a
is.
convertible.
It
They-
still
they-
is.
They said, "Hold my beer."
My dad used to always say you had to be a Murano to own one of those.
Oh, they were horrible. Well, who was it? Michael Johnson's girlfriend had one, and it wasn't, again, it's like the 928. It's a very nice car as long as you don't look at it.
I mean, so again, the 928, the early 928s, they were made famous obviously because of Scarface and all that. But the later 920, God, look at that thing. The later 928s, like the S4 and the S4s, which were the very
And the GTS, yeah.
The 928 GTS was a great car. It was a great looking car, I should say.
I wouldn't go that far. It might have been a great car, but it's another one of those cars that
Well, wait, but let me finish my thought on 928. Hold on. Because there is one thing that is exceptionally important about the 928 and its design, and Matt knows this, I know, because he's the one that told me, and I had to go look it up and fact check. It got its inspiration from the Pacer, because the German guy that designed the 928 of the Porsche Mafia thought 928 that the Pacer was a good-looking car. So figure that out.
what it just shows you is that there was crack available in Germany in the 70s.
They were chasing the dragon.
They had money back then. It was cocaine, not crack.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
So there's one car that I think is traditionally it's not an attractive car. It's not necessarily an ugly car either. First car to do something in the U.S. and Daniel has probably 5 billion of these things on his lot.
Sable wagon.
It is actually the Ford Taurus was the first car in the U.S. to have aerodynamic headlights because it had replaceable bulbs rather than sealed beams. But it is an ugly fucking car.
Well, the original Taurus, Ford banked the farm on the original Taurus.
Yeah, but when they made the oval Taurus, it was the first one with arrow headlights in the U.S. because they were the first one to get approval to have replaceable bulbs rather than sealed beams.
I'm wondering though, Mike. I want to double check that because the Audi 5000 was not everybody's cup of tea, but it also had one of the lowest coefficients of drag for the longest time. And I'm wondering if that doesn't beat out the Taurus in terms of aerodynamic headlights and all that kind of stuff. So I'd have to dig into that a little bit.
By aerodynamic headlights, I mean ones that were not a sealed beam headlight off the shelf that you buy in an auto parts store. It actually had a molded piece of plastic that was the lens of the headlight itself.
Right, but the 5000s and the coupes and all those cars from the 80s were not sealed beam headlights. With the wraparound headlights, you could take the bulb out and change them. So I'm thinking that it might be the first American car that way, but I don't know that it's the first car that has aerodynamic.
It was supposed to be the first car available for sale in the U.S. that had approval to not use sealed beam headlights.
I mean, thanks to what's that guy from the Green Party? What's his name? Nader. Thanks to Ralph Nader, the 5000 wasn't sold for very long in the U.S. I'm just kidding.
So back to the headlight thing real quick.
Yeah.
The reference I found is that that Ford had to actually request that the NHTSA approve aerodynamic headlights. They might not have been the first to release it, but it said that they were the ones to petition the NHTSA to make that change.
Nice.
We'll Snopes this later.
We will. But anyway, no, I get it. I mean, the Taurus, when you look at the Taurus in profile, though, you realize it's just a bloated Ford Sierra. I mean, it's the same design. The Mondeo, it's all the same stuff.
So why would you choose the Taurus versus the Tempo?
Oh, the Tempo is just an amazing vehicle.
I mean, they look the same.
Dude, look at that.
Well, because the Taurus, you could go with the SHO option, which
wasn't even a Ford motor; it was a Yamaha.
Yeah, but
What is the difference between the Taurus and the Tempo?
The Tempo is smaller. It's built on the Escort chassis.
It's the Jetta. The Taurus is the Passat. I get it now.
The Taurus is built on the Mondeo chassis.
I think the Tempo was its own chassis because one of my buddies, his mom had a Tempo,
And then
for whatever reason. It was a great car to play cat and mouse in, though, because we all hated it, so we beat the shit out of it. And to get the Tempo, what did she get rid of? Her Audi 5000.
And now here's a winner.
Stratus.
The Cirrus and the Stratus, the early ones. That's a later Stratus.
These are cars for people who
know
It's a
nothing
re-
about cars.
It's a rental car. I mean, you know,
Those are cars for people who jump bridges in Detroit.
no,
That
those are-
right there is how Stratus has come from the factory.
It's a rental car. Nobody actually buys those cars.
Yeah.
I looked at a Stratus when I was
You would.
when I was much younger. I was trying to look at an SR or whatever they were, the SRT Stratus. And I wanted to take a test drive from the Dodge dealership. He looked at me and said, "No."
Yeah.
You know what's funny? You know how that gold one there that you just hovered over? The best part about this is my next door neighbor, her mom lives with her and she's like 157 years old. That's what she drives, a gold Dodge Stratus, exactly like the one there in the picture.
I'm surprised it still runs.
So I live next. It's probably got 30,000 miles on it because she never drives it. But
30,000 miles and it's on its 7th transmission.
No, that would be a Chrysler Caravan. Thank you. They had the Ultra Drive transmission, which was their first 4-speed automatic, and it had apparently a phenomenal ability to grenade for no reason.
well, I'm gonna put it out there. If we're going with that body style like the Stratus and things like that, you got to bring up the Sebring.
Well, yeah.
Greatest convertible of all time.
Hey, I drove one of those cars in Erie, Pennsylvania at an autocross and won. I was beating people with street prepared cars because that chassis is so flexible, you can turn it anywhere.
My college roommate, the only reason his car survived the tornado that hit College Park was probably because it was the 80s Sebring convertible, because the roof wasn't strong enough to have that car lifted up like the cars on either side of him.
Nice.
all right, I
It.
don't remember the model right now, but Brad, search for Chrysler Maserati together.
Oh,
Oh,
I
the
know what
Maserati
car you're talking about.
The TC.
The TC, thank you. The Chrysler TC. So again, a lot of people might think freaking heinous car, whatever. There's one version of this that's actually a hardtop coupe that you could get.
No, it's a removable hardtop.
Is it a removable hardtop? Okay. So the thing I like about this car is that
They don't make it anymore.
well, they don't make it anymore. It's not a Chrysler power plant, slightly repenned by Maserati, but you could get it with a manual transmission. So for me, I'm kind of like, this is the unicorn Chrysler of that time period, especially like the late 80s, early 90s. And I'm kind of like secretly would be like, I would drive that.
It is a Chrysler motor. The only difference is it has a different head.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's a Maserati valve train or whatever.
So no matter how ugly it is, if it's a manual, that makes it at least where you can have a little fun driving.
But I mean, look at it
No.
in profile as a convertible. It's not bad. Like
It looks like a Cadillac.
I would take that over a
An
little.
Elante. Yeah.
Yes.
My question is this: have you ever driven a manual transmission Chrysler of that genre?
No, and I kind of secretly want to, and that's why, Matt.
No, you don't, because I used to have to drive it fairly regularly because it was one of the two cars that I got to drive if I left my car at my friend's.
Yeah.
A Chrysler minivan 5-speed.
What
Talk
is
about
that?
talk about rare.
All right, so looking at that car,
And
I see mine-
shifting that car makes a VW Beetle transmission feel notchy.
This apparently is Eric's dream right here. This is the sign of his perfect life.
Fortunately, the quarter zip up shirt in dark green. Yeah, that's pretty much me right there if you blew that out. But the one thing I like about the Cadillac for the time period, because it's a 90s car, it's got that kind of squarish Audi look. Like I'm okay with the way it looks, especially with a nice set of wheels. It came in some interesting colors. I think the biggest problem with the Elante is that it's got a North Star. So it's got a garbage motor in there. And that's what pretty much ruins it for me.
You say that now, and knowing what I know about the North Stars, I agree with you. But when they were new, compare that motor to the 4.9 Cadillac motor. You will never say that again.
Absolutely.
I remember when they first came out, we got it as a rental car. I was TDY down and we were able to rent a Cadillac that had the North Star in it. And the place that we were authorized to rent through was closed. And we're like, the hell with this. So we went to the one next to it to get a car. We were getting 35, 40 minutes from the base. So we're like, all right, what do you have? We're authorized X number of dollars. And I think it was like for the entire week and a half, 2 weeks we were there, it was like an extra $100 to get this North Star Cadillac. I'm like, dude, let's chip in $25 each. Hell yeah, we're getting the Cadillac. We did it, get on the highway, my buddy just stomped into it, and it had good acceleration for what it was compared to cars at that time.
Yeah. I'm not saying, but if you look at that picture of the Benz versus the Cadillac, obviously I'm going to take the Benz over the Cadillac every day of the week. So.
But only if it's brown, right?
Yeah, it's got to come in turd brown because that's the only 70s color that matters. So
Mercedes hasn't necessarily made the most beautiful cars either. So,
Well, let's hear some examples. I don't hear anybody throwing anything out.
What, the Titan?
I will say with the black grille, it looks better than with the giant chrome thing that mine has.
The only Titans I don't like, Mike, sorry, but I hate this whatever gill thingy is on the front fender. It's just stupid. And it's functionless.
Yeah. So, and the annoying thing is that's how they announce it's a Cummins or a V8. They're all actually V8s, even the Cummins. All the chrome is what annoys me about mine, and that's.
I don't mind chrome, but it's functionless. It doesn't do anything. It's like the exhaust vents on the front fenders of a Trans Am that are nothing but stick-ons.
Buick did that recently with one of their models to throw back to the old Buicks that actually had functional ones. They made a newer Buick model that had non-functional ones on the side of the fenders.
Well, but Buick has a long history of that. I mean, the portholes on Buicks were around in the 50s.
Yeah, they just stuck them back for no reason.
They didn't do anything then either.
Brad's too busy looking up some car porn right now.
Chevy Lumina.
Yeah.
The
Hey,
van.
the Lumina won a lot of races.
The van.
Had nothing to do with the Lumina van.
Well,
They had a Warner Brothers edition of the Lumina van that came with a little badge on the back that had Bugs Bunny on it, and that was the one that came with the TVs inside for the kids to watch.
Well, that is the Dustbuster.
was the replacement for the Silver.
Illumina, yeah, that's the original Dustbuster.
That's the original space shuttle like we're doing now.
I know, right?
They
When that thing came out,
they've raced that in Lemons.
Okay, so look up the Suzuki X90.
Hey, now I want one of those. They're hot.
No, it's not.
Oh, that's awesome with the plow.
The X90, the
Drive
X90 is the only thing I want aside from a Geo Metro convertible.
What else we got?
Oh, I got all sorts of fun
Look
stuff.
up that Suzuki X90.
You're just asking for a beat.
It's
That's
like,
one of the few. That's one of the few ugly cars you can still find every now and then too.
Right?
but here's the thing: the Tracker, I think, looks better than that. I mean, look, that's just
Tracker's a different car.
It does look like it's made by Tonka. I mean,
it's.
It looks like it's made by Hot Wheels.
I
It
wouldn't.
looks like it's made by Fisher Price.
Yes.
Yeah, Fisher Price. I agree completely on that.
that is
Yeah.
terrible.
See, and here's the thing: Suzuki had it right with the Samurai. Why they tried to do this with the X90, and I think a lot of it they went the rounded lines and things like that to try to appeal to
Yeah.
women to drive it, because the Samurai women didn't like the way it looked. So,
Well, didn't they also? Because I remember it was a big thing when I was in high school that Suzuki was getting in trouble for the rollover risk of the Samurai.
It was the rollover for the Samurai and for the Trooper. They were very, very top heavy.
the Amigo.
Yeah, but the Samurai had a shorter wheelbase, and therefore it was more prone to roll over than the Trooper. I mean, if you
I know a guy who rolled 3 of them. Good Lord.
well, but the problem is the Exploder, even without the tire issues, was more top was tippy or was just as tippy as the other two.
Well, in the Explorer, they had problems through that production run where one time they upgraded the model to the next generation and forgot to widen the track of where they attached the wheels on the next generation. So the wheels were too close in on one of the generations for the early start of the production run. The Explorer had all sorts of issues through its production.
Well, they were horrible. They were horrible to drive because it was a Ranger pickup truck. It was extended and bloated with all kind of shit, so it was super heavy. At one point, I think they gave that model a V8.
We had one of those with a V8, the Eddie Bauer, that one, a green one, Eddie
Yeah.
Bauer edition. We had one of those. I actually loved driving it because it was just a nice thing. And when my other choice was the conversion van, that was a nice change.
I actually like conversion vans, but that's if I were to travel cross country because they're horrible for anything else.
The first,
Conversion vans are great. You and 10 of your friends.
And they get airborne.
So, Mike, when you speak of the Explorer Sport, the 2-door version of it, my grandfather had one of those.
We had the 4-door Eddie Bauer.
Yeah.
So I will say this. My grandfather always owned International trucks until International stopped making smaller size trucks. And they started buying Ford trucks all the way up till it was probably around 97 time frame when he had that Explorer Sport. And he decided, you know what? I don't like it. He went and traded in on a Tahoe. And that was the first GM he had ever bought in his life. So I have to thank the Explorer Sport for converting my grandfather from a Ford guy to a GM guy.
Well, okay, so that's not a fair comparison though, because you're talking about going from a Blazer sized vehicle to a 1500 Tahoe sized vehicle.
Well,
So that's not apples to apples.
it's not, but I don't care.
Just
And
because it
there
lured
you
him to the.
go.
I mean, that's just because that's what made him sell his soul to the devil. You can't blame that.
The Explorer Sport is as much a Ford truck as a Chevy Love is a Chevy pickup.
How about the Explorer Sport Track?
Well,
no, thank you.
you see those? I haven't seen one of those in a while, but yes, they were pretty bad.
Granada, Bronco 2, Sable Wagon. Dude, you're winning them all. Good Lord.
So the F-150 I had is also the F-150 that was sold as the Lightning.
Well, there was
I-
a Lightning before yours.
Well, the 93 was the one that everyone bought, that everyone wanted to be a poser tuner or whatever. And I absolutely hate the looks of that truck, but I love the idea of that truck.
I'll give the Ford Lightning credit for the fact that they were taking that step up, putting a performance engine into a truck. Because prior to that, Ford hadn't really done a whole lot of that. And GM always had like their SSs and things like that.
Don't even talk about what an SS badge Chevy will stick anything on. They had an SS Malibu wagon,
No, the Malibu Max, baby.
Malibu Max,
I mean,
They have an
Ford-
SSHHR. You can't trust Chevy for shit.
and it's the fastest thing on track.
well, in the early years, Chevrolet, GM SS actually meant something,
Oh yeah,
and then towards the 90s,
it started with the Lumina.
they had the Chevy Lumina or the Chevy Celebrity. And how do you sell a Chevy Celebrity? Because it sucks. You call it a Euro Sport. Why? Because it's a Euro, and therefore it must be worth buying.
I will say that Chevy was fine when they stuck Z whatever on everything under the goddamn sun, but kept SS for actual performance cars. But once they stuck SS on the Malibu Max and a couple other stupid models, it's like, the fuck are you doing? Just stop.
It's all about branding for people to buy it.
Well, that's what they did. I mean,
It's just like the Mustang Mach-E, which now everybody just calls the Mach-E, and they've dropped the Mustang, but still apparently a Mustang. People
Except in Ford advertising, they said we made the Mustang, blah 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 blah, electric, something. So what else we got?
Woogie. Bleh. Yeah, sorry, I've had a lot of scotch.
I'm trying to remember what year it was that Nissan had a Maxima, and it had this giant bucktooth grille like an Audi, but it had a center bar that was chrome, and it looked like a big giant chrome bucktooth.
Trying to remember early 2000s, I think.
I think you're right. That was the most god awful. Well, that was the same car that Nissan, in their infinite wisdom, did not install a sunroof. They installed.
Yeah, they had that long clear window.
Yeah, what the fuck were you think? Well, their minivan was better. It had little what do they call them? Portals.
Nissan gave you a skylight
over each seat.
So that was actually the late 2000s, early 2010 model Maxima, because the 90s Maxima was actually good looking. The one after that was and then the one you're describing, went to hell.
And the best thing I'm learning about Maximas, the front core support. What's the first thing you do when you buy a 10-year-old Maxima? Replace the core support because it's rotten.
I was gonna say drive it into a wall, but
no, they're actually not that.
Sell it.
Yeah, sell it. You buy it to sell it. Let's see. What else do I got? Unless somebody else wants to jump in. Oh,
Isuzu Via Cross.
I like the Via Cross. I wanted one so bad when it came out.
I mean, that just shows there's no accounting for taste.
The Iron Man Via Cross, I thought it was awesome. That V6 with 200 some odd horsepower.
The Via Cross was weird.
I wanted to buy one and go right to the Dakar Rally.
I don't know that it was ugly. It was just weird. But then, I mean, look, the all-time ugly but kicks ass car is still the original BMW M Coupe, the clown shoe.
The clown shoe.
So a car that a lot of people love that I thought was ugly, the first generation Supra. I thought it was an ugly ass car. In no way, shape, or form is appealing to me looks wise. But
the original Supra was just a Celica.
Yeah, I mean, if you got one of the twin turbo ones.
Even a fourth gen, a way later one?
No. The first generation, Gyno had a turbo.
Like 78?
Yeah, it was.
They weren't turbo. They were 6 cylinders.
I was going to say,
the one he had a turbo on it, and
that was an add-on. Yeah. Oh, you're thinking that big heavy thing with the teeth with the with the Targa roof.
They were
right.
Huge.
But
that's the FC or whatever it is.
The Targa roof one that was its own unique car. That wasn't a Celica. And yeah, it was ugly, but it wasn't anything special either because it was heavy.
Fast and Furious Supra.
Which was the third gen Supra?
That was the round one.
No, that was the fourth gen.
That's the fourth gen. That's the last Supra until the new one.
I think the third gen's the one that he's talking about, which is the one
right
that had a Targa top and it was a big heavy thing.
But the first two Supras were like old school Celicas, like the very, very early Supras, like a liftback or whatever.
Yeah, it was called a Celica Supra.
Correct.
Yeah, and all it was a Celica with a 6-cylinder.
Right.
Which was pretty cool because to be wholly honest with you, I kind of liked the original. The second gen was more. It was still rear-wheel drive, but it was that really, really rectangular look.
Yes, it looked like a Stereon, basically, is what it looked like.
Yeah. The second gen, yeah.
That second gen was square as square could be.
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind the second gens. The third gens were just bloated versions of the second gens.
Well, the problem with the third gen was that it had the Targa roof and it had a turbo motor, but it was its own unique body and it didn't do anything. It was just, it's sort of like a GTR. It's big and bloated.
Right.
Well, and then, so like speaking of Celicas, when they came out in the early 2000s, when we went back to that really boxy look.
Fantastic
fan of that look. I just think it's an ugly look.
Well, even the ones that Ron has, they look like little birds, right? It's
Yeah,
like
it's-
they never made a Supra version of that car. They were like, no Celica Supra there.
Well, they stopped making Supras after
98,
last
99.
the last Supra had no bearing on a Celica at all.
Yeah.
Well, it did because if you look at its lines, especially the 4th gen, it looks like the very last version of the like Carlos Sainz era rally cars. If you really look at its lines, they took that car and widened it and lengthened it, but it's still basically a Celica at the end of the day.
But it was front engine, rear drive, and so on and so on and so on. And the Celica by that point was front wheel drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Except for the all-track versions of it, but still, it still retained like the window shape and some of the silhouette of the Celica. So you could say it's loosely associated with it. But the 4th gen Supras look good today, in my opinion, much like the RX.
I mean, and they're commanding big money.
Yeah.
So the 4th gen actually had more in common with a Lexus than it did a Celica.
Yeah, like what was that one called?
The SC300, SC400.
Yeah, it used the drivetrain parts from those as opposed to a Celica.
Some name, it was like a solar name, like
Soarer.
There it is.
Yeah.
Which was the original SC, I think, right? As well, was based on that, the SC300.
Yeah. SC, 300 and 400.
All right. So what other ugly cars do we have out there, Mike?
Subaru Tribeca.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh, the first one with the tombstone. Yes.
That one was on my list. The 2005.
So I'm going to throw it out there because it's not a 4-wheeled vehicle.
Reliant Robin.
The Izetta.
I do agree with that. Many of the 3-wheel vehicles are just weird looking.
Well, Brad will fight you on that because he likes the Morgan 3-wheel thing.
Well, the trike, they're cool. They're weird, but they're cool.
To each their own, but I don't see it. The BMW C1. It's a scooter that has like a windshield and everything comes up over you. It looks like a big old roll cage where you can hit the brakes hard enough and you just roll over back to your tires again. I mean, it's like.
I mean, have you seen the BMW Z1, the prototype before the Z3s, where the doors would go down into the rocker?
That was amazing. I saw one in person.
They're wicked, but they're not the most attractive car in the world. That's for sure.
No, but I saw one at the BMW Museum down in North Carolina at the factory. Like those doors are awesome.
Yeah, they are pretty slick. Did you see the episode of Top Gear where Clarkson tried to drive one?
No.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. I want to say GM had a car back in the 60s. It was a prototype where the doors went down into the floorboard under.
Well, the reasoning, apparently, according to Clarkson, I remember watching this episode, the reasoning BMW had for the doors retracting into the rocker panels on the Z1 was so that, because at the time period, women in miniskirts could get in the car without showing off their lady bits.
Unless their name was Paris Hilton.
Well, yeah, but that's different. She was trying to show off.
Brand new Camry actually doesn't look half bad funny. It's not nearly as bland as it had been.
Except those, like, if you look at the performance models of the new Camry, you see those vents on the back bumper that aren't really vents.
Oh, not being bland, it doesn't mean it's automatically a good-looking car, though. Just because they made it does not make it good.
Look at the new Civic.
Oh yeah,
look at the new Civic. You want to talk about a bunch of fake vents?
I've got another hot take for an ugly car.
Oh, go for it, Brad.
This one's new.
Ooh, is that the Senna?
Yes, it functions, or it is fastest car in the world right now, or whatever. But holy crap, it's got a face only a mother can love.
Yeah,
or a computer,
and the back, and an interior, and everything only a mother could love. The car is hideous, I think.
The Senna it's weird. I mean, they took like a P720 and just really let the boffins do whatever they wanted to do on the computer. I mean, it looks like something out of Forza. It's weird.
Yeah, that's what happens when engineers design a car completely. If you like what you've heard and want to learn more about GTM, be sure to check us out on www.gtmotorsports.org. You can also find us on Instagram at Grand Touring Motorsports. Also, if you want to get involved or have suggestions for future shows, you can call or text us at 202-630-1770 or send us an email at crewchief@gtmotorsports.org. We'd love to hear from you.
Hey listeners, Crew Chief Eric here. Do you like what you've seen, heard, and read?
From GTM? Great, so do we, and we have a lot of fun doing it. But please remember, we're fueled by volunteers and remain a no annual fee organization. But we still need help to keep the momentum going so that we can continue to record, write, edit, and broadcast all of your favorite content. So be sure to visit www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports or visit our website and click in the top right corner on the support and donate to learn how you can help.